Hey guys, Aaron here, coming at you with a knife review. This is the Jake Hoback Mini Backup Kwaiken. For those of you guys that don't know, Jake Hoback is a custom knife maker based in Arlington, Texas. He's sort of known for doing these really beefy, sort of Fallout Mad Maxian looking folders and fixed blades and whatnot. This is not a good example of that. This is a very refined, sort of clean looking knife with good lines and good edges. I think it's kind of an interesting piece to have by Jake. But if you're not too familiar with him, I will put his link to his website in the description. You can go check him out. You can bug him for one of these or one of his other knives. I highly recommend it. Jake's a great guy. But before we get too far into the review, let me go over some general specs of this backup Kwaiken here. Overall, this is 5 3/4 inches long with a 2.5 inch long cutting edge, and the overall thickness of the scales are just over almost 1/4 of an inch thick, while the blade is about 0.15 inches thick. The knife with the sheath weighs in at 3 ounces, so it's a very lightweight, easy to carry offering. I had gone through a number of knives, an Essie, an Essie Azula, and a couple of others, trying to figure out how to be able to carry a fixed blade in an EDC roll, so I could review it, and also just because I think it's a good tool to have. It's something, a fixed blade can do things that folders can't. They're stronger. You don't have to worry about lockup. They're easier, to use. So overall, I think it was kind of interesting. Overall, the ergonomics of the knife, it has a scale on one side. This was made for a lefty, so the scale is on this side for a left-hand draw. And when you grip it, you can see that the tips of my fingers really lock into this groove on the G10 scale. And then he has cut let me focus in on this here. He has cut very aggressive jimping on the spine of the knife along here. And so when I grab onto it, my index and middle fingers lock into the bottom jimping, the heel of my thumb locks into the top, and I've really got a secure hold. I mean, I can grab the blade and pull, and it's not going anywhere. And there's a decent amount of oil on this knife. I've kept it pretty well oiled. It's very comfortable, it's easy to draw, and I don't really worry about it slipping out of my hands at all. The sheath itself is just like perfection in my opinion. It has great retention, the knife isn't going to fall out, but it's easy to draw. When worn in the small of your back, it conceals really, really well, and it doesn't stick out. I'm not necessarily worried about concealing from a point of view of somebody else seeing that I'm carrying a knife, because it's perfectly legal to carry something like this, but just overall ease of carrying it. The sheath is a Kydex and leather hybrid sheath, and your belt goes through here. You can wear it either way, but this was designed for a lefty draw for me. But yeah, and it just sits. It sits right up against the middle of your back, and it's great. It is the perfect way to carry a fixed blade knife, in my opinion. And I've been experimenting with a few other methods, using a tech lock on some bigger knives to sort of emulate this. The one flaw I would say is when you're re-sheathing the knife behind your back, it's difficult to kind of get that lined up. So generally what I do is I come along the top of my knife and put my thumb out, bring the spine of the blade up to contact that, and then I kind of use that to guide it in when I'm re-sheathing behind my back, because it can be a little difficult, and you're probably going to wind up stabbing yourself at least once. Hopefully not that hard, and so you don't draw blood. The blade is a Kwaiken-style blade. Kwaiken-style blades were traditionally carried by samurais, ironically enough, not mall ninjas, but real samurais, for situations where their katanas were too big, inaccessible, or just unwieldy, and they needed something smaller to do a little bit more detailed work. It is ground on both sides, which is a really nice touch. You look at a lot of custom knives sort of this size, and they're chisel ground, but he has double beveled it, which is really great. The blade material is CPM Rex T15, and when Jake had first mentioned that, I had never really heard about it. I'd never really heard of it. It is a tool steel by Crucible with a very high tungsten content that allows for smaller carbides than vanadium, which essentially will give you a finer cutting edge. And then it also has an unusually high cobalt content, which improves the overall toughness in the steel. This is really kind of a beast of a knife. I've been using it pretty heavily, and the blade sharpness is just unreal still. In terms of a slicer, just having this thick of blade stock is going to make it difficult. I mean, it'll cut anything, but it's not the most ideal slicer as a thinner bladed knife would be. But I think the nice thing about it is it's just a beast. You're not going to break it, you're not going to bend it, you're not going to chip it, and it's going to retain an edge for a long time. I still feel like, it might be a hair less sharp than it was when I first got it, but I definitely feel like I could strop this out for a second and be right back to just absolutely razor sharp. Final thoughts on this, just a great knife. I've been eating it every day. It's given me excuse to carry a second knife. I now have one on my keychain, one in my pocket, and one fixed blade on my belt. And it's just, if you love knives, it's a really cool little novelty thing to have. It's kind of funny to whip this out when somebody asks for a knife nearby. It can be carried discreetly if that's an issue for you, and I just think overall it's really great. Simple, there's no locking mechanisms to fail or worry about. I would highly recommend this blade. As it stands today, Jake has only made 6 of these. I have one, and a couple other guys that I know have 1 or 2 of the others. But I've heard him talking about doing another run that's going to have a carbon fiber scale, and that could be really, really interesting. So I'm going to link his website in the bottom in the description, and I would highly recommend getting over there and bugging him to get on the list, get him to make some more of these. So I know customs can be hard to come by, and they're not practical for everybody, but this is a really cool piece, and I highly recommend it. So thanks a lot, guys. Aaron out of here.